professional learning you can consume during lunch or on a dog walk or while you clean out the garage. Our goal is to provide meaningful, engaging, and brief conversations for educators. I am Kate, and today I have a special guest host, Allison Riddle. Welcome, Allison.
Thank you, Kate. It's great to be here.
Oh, I'm so excited for you to be hosting with me today, and you really are the perfect person for this episode. I had this idea that I wanted to talk on an episode about social media and teachers' use of social media and how they can be effective with social media, what the benefits are, and then some tips and on how to get started and how it's being used. And Allison Riddle is my colleague. She is the elementary mentoring supervisor, and she is brilliant and creative and heavily involved on teacher social media. So I said, hey, I know a guy who knows a guy. And so she works in elementary mentoring and with our teacher academy schools, and she's always been a teacher that has been involved in her community and communicating with parents and was always really good at that as a teacher. But I think, Allison, correct me if I'm wrong, that your social media use really took off when you were named Utah Teacher of the Year in 2014. Is that?
Yes. Yeah, that's when I jumped into having an educator platform.
On Twitter.
On Twitter,
specifically.
Yeah.
So let's just jump right in. Why should teachers be interested in this idea of utilizing social media?
Great question. Two important reasons why a teacher should want to be on a social media platform. First of all, they can actually increase or expand something we call their PLN, their professional learning network. The most important idea behind this is, in public education for hundreds of years, we actually have designed our schools to protect student engagement, to help them stay focused. But in doing so, we put up four walls and we siloed teachers, and we've really isolated them. Even with the invention of the internet years ago, teachers were still feeling like the only time they connected with other teachers was when they left to go to a conference, right? You're kind of limited to your grade level, your department, or by the geography of your hallway. But when teachers get onto a social media platform with an education-focused handle, they're actually able to meet hundreds of teachers outside of Utah, across the country, and even in other nations. It's limitless how many educators you can find. The great thing about that is you're increasing and developing kind of a community of practice, and teachers can get on there and share ideas, ask questions, gain resources. It's incredible. But the other reason you want to have that professional learning network is you have the chance to advocate. And you can actually tag on policymakers. You can speak about policies and funding that you'd like to have supported. Teachers are busy. They're isolated. And using a social media platform is an excellent way for you to connect to other educators and really boost your joy and your pride in teaching.
Are there advantages for your students or your community for you to kind of be involved in social media?
Oh, absolutely. The other thing that you can do when you're on social media is expand your circle of influence. We don't often shout out the great work that we're doing, but social media can help a teacher really look through a different lens and take on a different mindset that says, I have experience, I have expertise, and it's worthy of sharing. So you're giving ideas, you're getting ideas. Teachers actually will brag about something in a really healthy way and share it out, and then say, what else can you add for me? What else do you have? And other teachers just add on and say, try this, try this. All of that builds in a teacher's self-efficacy. It builds it up, and it also helps them build their practice. And most importantly, kids are the greatest benefactors of this. They learn more, and we build the profession.
Yes, celebrate the profession, make the profession seen. I will tell you, I am a lurker on social media, and this is why I wanted to do this episode, because I want to be better at being part of that network and engaging in it. Speaking of that, Allison and I had the opportunity to interview two teachers that are really actively using social media really well, Ashton Johnson and Rachel Wright, and so we'll hear what they have to say. We are so excited to be here with Ashton Johnson, who teaches 5th grade at Case Creek Elementary. Welcome, Ashton.
Hey, thank you. I'm excited to be here.
We're so excited that you joined us. So we want you to tell us about your social media account that you use for your classroom and how you utilize it for your classroom.
So social media is a great way for you to get resources, to connect with people, make connections, and it's also a learning, like where you can find things and learn about different things. You can make different relationships with certain people. My handle for that is at 5 Coyotes. And we do it as a grade level because, we go to Case Creek and we're the Case Creek Coyotes. So we thought that was pretty clever, and it's a 5th grade handle.
So what kinds of things do you post on your social media?
Oh, I love to post about just different applications for Microsoft is a big one. So we're a Microsoft Showcase school, and that's a big deal. And a lot of technology is available to teachers that they just don't know about. For example, Immersive Reader is a great one. Reading Progress is another one. And just different technologies that are out there that if I post about, someone might come across it and be like, I needed that for my classroom.
As a teacher, what kind of a benefit do you feel you have gained from having your education Twitter account? What benefits do you see as a teacher, or maybe what are the benefits for your students?
So the really cool thing is I like kids to know that just because they're 5th graders or 3rd graders, that they can make connections with anybody, right? So one of the connections I first made on Twitter was with Ryan Hickman, and he does waste management. And so one of our projects last year was waste management. And so it was a kid that they could see was like them, made a connection with him through Twitter, and I had a fangirl moment. His dad actually called me on the phone and was like, hey, let's talk to your class. And I was like, no way. And so he called me on my phone, and the worst thing people tell me is no, right? So why not put it out there? So I sent him a message through Twitter, just said, hey, I'm trying to get this connection with my class. I think you'd really be somebody that would motivate them to see what changes they can make in the world around them. That was one of the first connections that I made that I was like, oh my gosh, who else can my kids talk to? So I don't know if a lot of you guys know The Wizard of Oz. So he's on Disney Plus. So I actually connected with him, and my students got to do a Zoom meeting with him.
Oh my goodness.
And it was so cool because they were able to see this actual person in this profession that they might want to pursue. They're like, oh my gosh, this is a guy I see on Disney Plus, and he's talking to me.
To us,
in our classroom. Hey guys, what's up? And answered all their questions. He was asking, they asked where he got started. And it was just a really cool connection. It's possible to make connections with people that you wouldn't think you could make connections with, right?
Well, it sounds like it's brought a lot of joy to you.
It is.
In your practice, and that alone is a win with a minimal effort of just posting on Twitter some of the great things that your kids are doing in your classroom.
Yeah.
Do you find that because you are active on social media and posting things, does it help you kind of focus on the positive things?
Absolutely, because one of the biggest things that I like to do is I'm passionate about how can I help teachers? And there's people who are struggling out there. It's hard, and you get overwhelmed really easy. And I think that my account shows people that I'm a real person with real responsibilities, and that certain things are manageable and practical and realistic. If you're struggling right now and you don't know how to implement technology, here's this little application. Here's Reading Progress that will make a change in your students' lives. Here's how to use OneDrive and make that change in your students' lives, and make the functionality in your classroom that much smoother. Even through social media, I'm letting my students see what's possible, just like you said with a post. What's possible by just speaking up.
So what tips do you have for listeners, teachers who want to get started with a classroom social media account? What advice do you have for them?
So advice that I would have for you is make your handle something that's simple for people to follow and memorize. And also it's not necessarily connected to you. So when people see, 5 Coyotes, they kind of get an idea that I'm a 5th grade teacher. I work at Case Creek because that's our mascot. And also start out really small. You don't have to post every day. Don't feel pressure to post. Don't feel pressure to follow people.
Well, thank you so much, Ashton. That was so fun to hear, and I'm excited to go dive in and look at your posts and get inspired to start another social media account. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
We're here with Rachel Wright. She was a 4th grade teacher at Davis Connect, and now she'll be teaching 5th grade at Orchard Elementary. And Rachel is also one of the Hope Street Fellow alums. which is a state teacher leader fellowship, and she's a mentor for our Davis Teacher Leader Fellowship. So Rachel, welcome. We're excited to have you.
Thank you for having me.
So tell us, where can we follow you on social media? And also, tell us a little bit about your account.
I am on Twitter at UtahRach, UtahRach, no space between. And on my social media account, I try to elevate the voice of other teachers who are doing amazing things for the broader education community, as well as share my own thoughts to the degree that I think that they will be received well.
So why do you think it's important for teachers to have an advocacy presence specifically on social media? Why is that important to you and the work that you do?
I think that it is so easy for teachers to become, experts of their own classroom and stay within those four walls. Maybe go out into the school building and share what they know. But social media has provided a platform for teachers to be experts and connect with people across the world and share ideas. And when it comes to advocacy, we are the ones who know what it looks like on the ground. And so specifically for me, I like to use my social media when it comes to policy that's being developed by elected officials who may have the best of intentions and maybe coming from the same goal of working for our students, but they haven't been in the classroom. If you look at the makeup of the Utah State Legislature, there are very few teachers who are in holding office right now. There are a couple of retired teachers who do amazing things, but they can't be the only voice. We need voters and we need elected officials to hear what teachers currently in the classroom have to say. And social media provides a way to do that.
Rachel, you're originally from DC, right? Is that why you love policy so much?
I am originally St. Louis, North Carolina, but I was in DC for a number of years. I went to graduate school in DC and studied communications. I studied communication, culture, and technology. And so I did a master's at Georgetown in that kind of put all these words together type of master's degree. And we studied the impact of social media. I was there in like 2010 when Twitter was big, but not as big as it is now. And so I think when I look at advocacy in the realm of education, I am building upon what I learned in the power of social media that it can have to influence culture and the way that we communicate.
And we know that teachers or educators in general are the largest group of professionals using Twitter in particular. So you've really got a large audience to share your excitement for policy and also your concerns about certain policies. So could you please give us an example of how you've used social media, in particular Twitter, to advocate for teachers, for administrators, for policies? What have you done in a specific way to advocate?
We had this past legislative session, there were a number of bills that were brought forward that would impact the career, in my opinion, in a negative way. And so Twitter was a way for me to share my thoughts on the bills specifically and use it as a call to action. And so if a bill was going through committee and I follow it because I think it's interesting, a lot of people think, why does she spend her free time following this bill and where it is in committee? And so using Twitter gave me a platform to say, hey everyone, this is going to be up for a vote tomorrow at 9 a.m. Please email these committee members at this email address and tell them X, Y, or Z. And in addition to that, tag all of those lawmakers so that they could also see the conversation that would happen from that post.
All the comments.
All the
made.
comments and likes and retweets, and to see that that the conversation is happening. Yes, we are teachers. Yes, we are in our classroom, but we are aware and we're knowledgeable of the process, and we understand that what you're doing with your vote will impact us.
I was talking to a friend that paid really close attention to some of those bills going through the last session, and said, he said, I think they went the way they did because of the mobilization specifically of educators, specifically of teachers who wanted their voices heard. This will affect us in these ways. Please listen. And that's, kind of the way that it went. So that's very powerful. Those are very powerful things.
Absolutely. I was part of there were 3 of us who put together a kind of in response to all of the challenging bills that were put forward. And we created a group called Elevate Ed. We brought together all of the different voices on social media, because there are a lot of voices out there, right? There are lots of voices that are saying, overall, we need to fix the culture that we are in right now. But we noticed that there were very few voices that are specifically elevating the voice of teachers.
So that kind of leads nicely into our next question, which is, let's say I am a teacher that's interested in getting started in using social media to advocate for the profession, for education. What advice do you have to get started?
My biggest piece of advice would be do some research into what you can and can't say. Protect yourself. So for example, don't at your elected officials from your school email, your school computer during contract time, right? Little things like that seem logical, but then once you understand that you can't do that, well, when can I do it? And what if I'm on the school Wi-Fi? Just figure it out, ask questions, reach out to me. I'm happy to help teachers figure out what they can and can't say, and the right space in which to do that, so that you are protected.
And you'll have that confidence.
Exactly. Yeah, that's my number one piece of advice.
That's great advice.
And knowing that you are the expert. Yeah. I think that is one thing that I have heard through some of the more formal teacher leadership trainings that I've been fortunate to have in my career, is that we are experts, and that's such a hard thing for teachers to really embrace.
I've been in one of your trainings where you talked about a teacher leadership training, where you talked about when working with policymakers, we should assume positive intent.
Yes.
And that, I believe, would be another great piece of advice that I've heard from you. So what does that look like on social media?
So on social media, I think it's very easy, and there've been studies and articles and discussions all about how when we're in the social media space, it's so easy to attack someone in a way that we wouldn't sitting face to face. And so I guess with assuming a positive intent, you might see a tweet from an elected official or another group advocating for policies that you don't agree with. And you might think, oh, I'm going to retweet this and tell them what I really think, without going through the filter that you might if you were sitting there face to face. And so I think assuming positive intent in the social media landscape looks like taking that breath and taking the time to craft a response that is rooted in fact, maybe sharing a story from your classroom so that it's personal, and opening a conversation instead of shut them down in a way that perhaps gives them more motivation to keep fighting against you.
Awesome. Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.
It was so great to hear from Ashton and Rachel. They have such great ideas for social media. So Allison, I kind of want to talk to you just again. I'm wondering if you can dig a little bit for us and tell listeners, give us your do's and don'ts so that they can kind of have an idea of where to start.
Obviously, I think as educators, we realize that all adult behavior teaches kids. We're modeling behavior all the time, and an educator needs to keep that in the back of their mind when they are on a social media platform. A few really simple ones. Obviously, you want to clean up your profile. I think it's important for an educator to have a separate platform, a separate account from what they would post personally. And you want to give a good description of who you are as an educator, not as a community member. That's a little different. I think I'm going to say it over and over again, self-promote. Share the great things you're doing. Follow other people that you are interested in the work that they're doing, etc. I know that we often get people who say, oh boy, don't get on social media. It's just all negative. It's awful. I get that, but we're all adults. I think we realize that there's an algorithm built into every platform. It feeds you what you spend time on. And so if you're spending time following the most positive educators, that's what you're going to see in your feed. So stay with that. Stay with the positive posts. If you're following policy, for example, you want to follow #UTED, and that will be, you'll see lots of posts about education policy in Utah, and you can add to it, ask critical questions. That's a great suggestion every educator should follow. Rather than posting something angsty, be mindful of your carbon footprint and ask a question about the issue. How can we help, increase funding for after-school programming? Tag on people who are at the table to make those decisions. A couple of don'ts, in particular, of course, don't follow the negative comments about education. Don't spend time, don't engage with those who would make others in our communities question the integrity of public education. It's not worth your time, and you'll not make any headway with them. So stay with all the positive posts, follow the incredible educators both in Utah and outside of Utah that are saying great things, but also being pretty open and pretty candid about the challenges of teaching. It's okay for us to have a discussion about what is very difficult, but we're doing that to solve problems. In terms of do's and don'ts, we're all adults, and we know, again, that our carbon footprint, it lasts forever. So talk to your administrator. See if there are things you need to follow when posting photos. We obviously never post photos of students with their names next to the photo, but there are ways that you can post from your classroom. Talk to your building administrator and find out what you're allowed to do and what are the best practices they would like you to follow.
That leads us to what we want to do next. We usually end the podcast episodes with a gift for our teachers. So today we want to do a little bit of a special gift, which we've asked Allison to tell us for her gift some Davis and Utah educators that we should be following.
Oh, I have so many favorites, and it's hard to limit it. Well, let me share with you a few that are fun. On Instagram, I love Marquesa Hansen. She's at mrs.hansens.corner, and she's at Wasatch Elementary in Davis District, and she just posts the most positive things about teaching every day. And she'll even say, yesterday was indoor recess all day, it was hard. But today's a new day, and I'm so excited. If you want a really happy post, if you want to be boosted, you've got to follow her on Instagram. Marley McClune, also one of our famous Aggies here in Davis District at Hey Mrs. McClune. She's one of our new Utah Teacher Leader Fellows, and she just posts the most positive, uplifting also things about what she's doing in her classroom and in her teacher leadership adventures. Really fun to watch. On Twitter, of course, Scott Judy at Moves Like Judy. He loves to advocate for great teaching and policy, and also he posts some great things about what he does with his students at Viewmont High. It's a lot of fun to watch. Kristen Van Brunt at VB_Kristen. She's another teacher leader fellow, and she's always posting the great things she does as she teaches literacy in high school. Holly Fisher at Mrs. H. Fishy. Oh, I love her. She's one of our Microsoft educators, and she's at a showcase school in Davis, and she just is constantly posting great ideas that you can follow and use within the Microsoft platform. She is a joy. Lindsay Kemeny at Lindsay Kemeny. She's a younger grade teacher, Kaysville Elementary. She's known as a national speaker. I know you've had her on this podcast. And Robbie Kinghorn, one of our principals, he's at R.W. Kinghorn. He's the principal of Wasatch Elementary. He's gone crazy with Twitter, published a book. He's constantly promoting Davis District and the work that his teachers do. In the state, I would say, number one, every teacher should follow on Twitter Dr. Sid Dixon, our state superintendent at Dixon Sid. She's passionate about education. She's been a superintendent at one of the hardest times, right, in the history of public ed, and she's in there. She gets on the Wednesday night Utah Ed Chat nearly every week. She loves engaging with teachers, even at the high post that she's been assigned to. And then Tabitha Pacheco at Tabitha_Pacheco. She's the leader of the Utah Teacher Leader Fellowship. And if you follow her, oh my goodness, you will then automatically be connected to teacher leaders across the state. Great opportunities to go to professional learning sessions, in person, online, great ideas. She's just a joy to work with. So there's too many to follow. We'll add more, but I have to say, no matter what you do, as you post, please add #TeachInDavis. I don't want to brag, but we have the most used district hashtag in the state. Just thought I'd throw that out there. So throw that on anytime, and also follow it, and you'll see the great things that are happening in Davis.
That's the one Allison runs for our district. Some great ideas, highlighting some great teachers. She retweets some of these people, so you can follow them there as well.
Oh yeah, follow me.
Oh yeah,
follow me.
Follow at Teaching Davis.
Talk about self-promoting, duh. Yeah, follow me, and hopefully you will. You'll jump in and find some other great people that you may not ever meet in person. It's strange, folks. But it's so worth 5 minutes a day. Just throw 5 minutes a day in.
Yep. I love it. We're all on social media anyway, so thank you so much, Allison, for co-hosting today and giving great ideas about social media. I am excited to advance my lurker status to something a little bit more engaged with social media. As always, thanks to our producer, Tom, for making us sound so awesome. Thanks for joining us. Please like and subscribe and follow our podcast, and we'll see you at school.